Well, good evening. I'd like to call order the meeting of the Cunningham Township Board. It's Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustees Brown.
Here.
Hazen.
Here.
Hersey.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Roberts. Wu.
Here.
Chair Marlin.
Here. And let the record show that Councilmember Jacobson is attending electronically. Next up is minutes from the previous meeting. Actually, Town Board Member Jacobson is attending electronically. Minutes from the previous meeting of August 5th. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Mary Alice, seconded by Bill. Are there any corrections? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay. Public participation? City Council? All right, next up is committee to verify bills.
So this past month for the town fund, we had $46,239.28. For the general assistance fund, we had $52,303, and the total between the two funds was $98,539.31. Happy to answer any questions.
Sharice.
I'm still not like real well versed on how the bills go. I did want a definition of interim.
Interim.
On page 4, I noticed.
Interim GA checks. Are you referring to the personal allowances? Yeah. So what we do is essentially the date that our participants have all of their paperwork in to receive general assistance is the date that we consider them approved, if they're approved. You know, usually it takes another week to like 9 or 10 days to go through an approval process. So we essentially start from the date that they're all in, and they receive, except if that date is the first of the month, there's almost always an interim check. So the interim check is either a portion of a month, or it might be a full month plus a small portion from the month before. So it's essentially what you'll see with those interim checks is you'll see, up to 2 months if there were delays in processing the application. And so I have us list the interim checks separate from the standard DGA checks. You'll also see 10%. 10% is when there was an overpayment to that participant. Perhaps they did not declare income and we found that out later, or there was income during that time. They're considered to have an overpayment. And so we essentially are allowed by our rules to take 10% off their checks until that overpayment is paid back. And that's been the standard practice for as long as I know. Both of those practices, the interim checks and the 10% overpayment.
Okay. And one other thing was with the office supplies, we charged twice the same amount, $156.99 for smart TV.
Oh, this is I believe, is this the television for the conference room? Smart TV? Yeah, so we divided it up. Oh, yeah, because I was like, it was much more expensive than that. So essentially, we bought a $500 for our conference room. We bought, a $400, not quite $400 television set and cables. Right now, we don't have an overhead projector. We don't have a TV, so we basically created a monitor for our conference room. We had to divide those across both the supervisors and the assessors line items, so essentially for accounting purposes, we split it into 2, but it's one purchase.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Any other questions?
I'll move approval of the town fund and the general assistance fund.
Second.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Sharice. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Reports of officers.
My report is just very brief. Our general assistance participants are up to 118. That's up from 104 last month. We've had a pretty, and I've only been in the office now, this would be my 3rd August, but it does seem like we have bumps in general assistance participants towards the end of the summer. And we also see them over Christmas holiday. I actually recently pulled the I-Plan report, which is a report that is put together by the Public Health District. And at some point I can share with you this graph, but it essentially shows that although we have low unemployment in our community, each summer the unemployment spikes. So we actually, if you look at the nation, it goes like this, you know. But if you look at us, our unemployment goes like this. So on average, we actually have pretty low unemployment rate, but we do see that people struggle in the summer. And we see that with our rental assistance and our general assistance. We currently have 25 who are homeless. That's actually down. We had a number of case closures. So the 118 actually represents quite a few additions and then a number of case closures. Rental assistance were down. We had 14 last month, which is relatively high to about 10, which is what I would expect. 5 of those were move-ins for the homeless and 5 were eviction prevention. I just had a couple of highlights. All our staff are now deputy registrars. We do nonpartisan registration of citizens to vote at our office anytime during our office hours, and any person in our office can fulfill that duty. This means that the first time folks vote, they don't have to bring their ID. I would encourage other governmental entities to do that as well, because we're going into an election season. We are partnering with the U of I Community Data Clinic on a different NSF grant. I mentioned the other one that had to do with 3 data scientists. This is different. We are looking to design and improve the accessibility and accuracy of social service provision using a smart cities technology that's actually developed here at the U of I. In 6 months or so, we'll find out if our PI partner, Dr. Anita Chan, has received that grant, and if so, we'll be partnering with the community to create real-time data provision of social services, which is very exciting. Our garden is at a bumper crop of tomatoes. Please come by and pick if you're listening. We're at 205 West Green Street. You can just come pick tomatoes. We need to move them. We had 35 staff, interns, volunteers, and participants, along with friends, march with us in the Labor Day Parade. I will bring you stickers. I left them at home. We have these beautiful Cunningham Township CARES stickers to raise awareness about our programs. We're trying to make sure that we're not just reaching those who are networked and already know about our programs, but really everyone in the community, especially those who may be more disconnected. So we're doing some outreach efforts. We'll be at the Pride Parade, and we are at CU Days, so we're trying to really be visible in the community. And I think that's it. I think my report is over, and then I know Wayne had a report.
Thank you. Wayne Williams, Township Assessor.
So I have a report. And first, I want to apologize for not being able to make the last couple meetings. We were gone for training. However, this report ended up being a lot longer than I think anyone here would like. So I'm going to try to go through it really fast. And I gave the slides to everyone. So if you have questions, if you could just hold them until the end, and I'll take them.
And feel free to summarize anything.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So assessing has its own language, and as the township assessor, it's part of my duty to translate that language and explain how the terms are used. Terms like COD, PRD, median. These are statistical terms, very boring, but we use it every day, so I think it's important for the public to know what some of these terms mean. So the way that we get to some of the terms is we conduct sales ratio studies. At the very basic, level, what a sales ratio study does is take our assessed value, look at what a property sold for, and we get a number. We're looking for the number to be 33.33% as often as possible. So if you have a house that sold for $100,000, we want our assessment to be $33,300. That would be a 33.33% ratio. If it sold for $50,000, I'm sorry, if it sold for $100,000, we assess it for $50,000. That would be a 50% ratio, which is obviously too high. If we have it assessed for $20,000, that'd be a 20% ratio, which is obviously too low. This is a word that we've seen time and time again, coefficient of dispersion. What you need to know about the coefficient of dispersion is that you want it to be below 15, right? Below, what coefficient of dispersion is measure how accurate our assessments are. When it's below 15, it means that the assessments are within 15% high or low of what homes are selling for. So this is meant because we're going to be looking at charts and graphs now, and I know how much fun those are. So this information comes from the Department of Revenue, and that solid line is at 15% for where we want the coefficient of dispersion to be. And this shows what the coefficient of dispersion has been from 2008 up until 2017, and that's the latest year the Department of Revenue has data for. We went further and actually looked at how the COD, what it was doing by neighborhood, and we have the data for 2017 and 2018. And what we did was we looked at the racial composition of each neighborhood. And what we did was we ranked the neighborhoods and looked at their COD. And what we saw is, so neighborhoods below 8, and remember with COD, lower is better. When we looked at the neighborhoods with CODs below 8, we found that they were 67% white, 33% non-white. Those with normal CODs, 15 or below, we saw that they were 67% white, 33% non-white. Above 15%, 54% white, and 46% non-white. And 25 and above, which is really egregious when it comes to the COD number, 52% white, 47% non-white. And Alan Axelrod, who does statistics stuff, helped compile these statistics. I borrowed them from Danielle, so thank you, Danielle. And this is the 2018 data. It kind of shows the same thing, so I'm not going to repeat, but basically what we're seeing is, what it shows is whiter neighborhoods have better assessment results. That's what the data shows. Going forward to PRD, or price-related differential, this measures regressivity or progressivity in assessments. So what a regressive assessment means is that lower priced properties are assessed higher than what they should be, higher priced properties are assessed lower than what they should be. What a progressive assessment, what progressivity means is lower priced properties are assessed lower than where they should be, and higher priced properties are assessed higher than where they should be. The PRD number, what we're looking for is for a range between 0.98 and 1.03. And again, we looked at from 2008 to 2017. The yellow in the box shows that range of 0.98 to 1.03. And as you can see, we've been out of range for the PRD number for some time. We also compiled the racial statistics of the neighborhoods. We ranked them, compiled the racial statistics, and it really shows the same thing that the coefficient of dispersion statistics show. So further concerns, and these are really past concerns which I've discussed with you all before: outdated underused technology, paper-based records, lack of digital records to quickly query assessments, and inability to produce those ratio studies. So what do? And this was meant to be cute, but I'll skip through it. We're going to make assessments great again in Cunningham Township. Because if you looked at the charts, you know, the numbers were where they were supposed to be up until about 2010. Something happened in 2010, and they got out of range. So how do we fix it? I have another acronym. a much better acronym than the last one. We're going to tear it up. Stands for Technology, Education, Assessment, and Reassessment. So for technology, what we've done is we have a new camera system. We're integrating that. We've digitized our property record cards. All our cards we have PDF scans of now, and we have a website coming soon. What the website is going to do is it's going to allow for residents to search by address the property record card that we have for a particular property. What that will in turn do, and this is a preview of the website coming soon, we're still testing it. This will actually, we spend a lot of staff time actually responding to these requests. So this website is coming soon. With education, education is important to fix the disparities that I previously identified in our assessments. So it's important to keep current on changes in assessment laws, stay proficient in current valuation techniques, and learn the best ways to value property. So what do we learn? One thing that I asked every one of my staff to do was give me 3 takeaways that they took from every class. And I'm not going to go through every class in the interest of time. I will tell you this, there's a debate after I saw the product of what my staff did on whether I said 3 takeaways or at least 3 takeaways. So some of the slides are pretty like this. So the ethics course was the IPI course, Intro to Assessments, Property Evaluation, the Basics of Mass Appraisal. And in parentheses, we have the institution that provides the course. It's either the IPI, Illinois Property Assessment Institute, or the IAAO, International Assessment, IAAO, International Assessment Administration Officers Organization. Preferential assessments, this is one that I took, and because I know I told them 3, so I only put 3. This was a very valuable course. We learned about various preferential assessments in state law, learned how to value solar panel installations, and learned how to value Section 42 housing, among other things. Homestead exemptions. Our office typically doesn't, we assist with homestead exemptions, but that's really a county function. And just learning how to better manage these exemptions is what we got from this one. Neighborhood analysis workshop, RATDs from township to state, Illinois tax policy, real estate law, fundamentals of real property appraisal. This is a nice illustration from that course. The income approach to value and income approach to value 2, and residential modeling concepts. That was the most recent course that I took with one of my other employees, TNA. This was probably on the cutting edge of what assessors are doing. And instead of going from just a cost-based model, we're learning how to go and use a purely sales-based model to determine property assessments. The A in tier is assessment, and this refers to what we're doing for new property, new construction. We're going to collect the data. We're going to put it in our CAMA system. We get permits from the city on a regular basis electronically, but we also get the paper permits as well. We have to keep track of sales, making sure they're valid or invalid. That actually goes back to the sales ratios course that Laura on my staff took. What we found is that the county wasn't very aggressive in identifying sales that should have been excluded from the study. I'll give you an example. If me and Danielle, if we own a house together, and then I decide that instead of owning this house together with Danielle, I'm just going to buy this house and own it completely. And we saw a green sheet where we had 2 people who own the house together sell it to just one of the people, and that was included in our sales study, and it should not have been. So knowing how to identify that is something that was learned in the sales ratio course, the RATD course. And then reassessment is what we're doing now. So assessment review is necessary to maintain accuracy and uniformity in our values. In an ideal world, every property would be assessed at 33 1/3%. Unfortunately, we don't live in that world. We live in Urbana, which is not ideal, but almost perfect. All properties should be reassessed every 4 years. However, many properties in our jurisdiction have not been have not been reassessed in over 4 years. Factoring a property's assessed value to bring it closer to 33 1/3% does not mean reassessment. I'll give you an example. In 2018, the bulk of the assessment work that my office did was factoring. This year in 2019, we did a factor, we did a commercial factor, but we also reassessed neighborhood 21, which is capstone quarters. What I mean by reassessment is we looked at every unit, every condo unit in capstone quarters, and we placed a brand new value. So we valued the 4 bedrooms at one level, the 3 bedrooms at another level, and the 2 bedrooms at another level. That is going to cause increases from where the assessments were. The average increase is 23%, but some people went as high as 77% in terms of their increase. That's because that was a neighborhood that had been neglected, and we gave it some TLC. So I will leave this part for questions. This is a picture of our staff.
Any questions for Wayne? Thank you, Wayne. Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, any unfinished business? New business? Okay. No further business before the board, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.